Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Mars coming at you over the interwaves with another StarCraft 2 cast sent into Reddit's Castit, where you can have your games casted by a member of the community. It could be done by me, or it could be by somebody actually talented. I don't know, and you won't know until you try it. We have a ZVP today on the runes of Ceres. Over on this side, we have a red Zerg called Odveta. Odveta. And over on this side, on the northeast side, is the blue Protoss, John. I will try my best to get through this cast without making any Game of Thrones jokes. But, just so you know, I'm not making any promises. We have a gateway first for John, and we have Odveta going for a hatchery first. Odveta checking to see whether his opponent is in vertical spawning position, which is very much possible here, but it is not. And John going for a expansion as well. Before getting his gas and before putting up his cybernetic core, not even having sent out a unit to make one, although he does have the minerals. There you go. And this is, by the way, a shiny colored versus shiny colored. I'm just not high enough to know whether this is diamond or master. I'm colorblind as hell. This should have given John the idea that his opponent is indeed here, although he's not going to initially see the natural expansion. And he does see it now, sees the spawning pool, finish up. Should, at this level of play, have some idea on the plays being made. Goes in here, checks that. And in the meantime, Odveta doesn't yet know, well, where his opponent is. Well, he knows he's on the top left. And I suppose it depends very much on how good his knowledge of timings is, of scouting, whether the probe moving through here means that he didn't come from here, or whether it actually took a detour from here to here and then come across. This is certainly not a timing I know, and due to, the Overlord, continuing on his merry way and not changing in his direction here, I suspect it's not something Odveta knows either. So we have two bases for Odveta, we have two bases for John, we have pretty much equal work accounts, and we have a Stargate opening for John. In the meantime, a Roach Warren for Odveta. Not producing two probes at the same time. But that could be a mineral issue, yes. And in the meantime, Odveta is saving up quite a few minerals in order to do what? What are you doing? Building a bunch of stuff, getting a third. I was actually looking to see here if you take this third. Building that wall off to protect against any Zergling run by, of which there is indeed going to be one. And I've seen people not quite place this properly, so it'd be interesting to see whether, yep, there you go. Okay, well, one doesn't get through, two also, well, I suppose technically they do get through, but they don't do much. And so yeah, didn't see much. Does know now that his opponent is here, does not send his overlords into position to do any additional scouting, but again sending a Zergling to die at the hands of a mothership core and an adept. In the meantime, the Oracle is done, and we have 1, 2 spore crawlers in place in order to deal with this, but the third does not yet have one. But then again, it doesn't have any drones to kill either. We don't have an extra queen to deal with the creep spread. and John scouts this. Not the fact that there's no creep spread, but the lack of drones. Well, there was one drone, I suppose, and a couple of whatchamacallits. Larva. As that oracle flies into 3 queens, and this queen can maybe kill it if he gets away with 16 hit points. Very lucky there, mostly for John. Not doing anything else with the Stargate, going instead for charge, and gets a robotics bay, robotics facility, not a robotics bay. In the meantime, did get a void ray for any possible roach attacks. But while Odveta did build a few roaches, 3 and with another 3 on its way, it doesn't appear that he's gearing up to attack anything. Workers, 48 for Odveta, 44 for John, with another spore crawler on the way in here. And Templar Archives for John. Interesting. Taking his 3rd as well. Well, putting it down 2 pylons in order to overcharge it against any attacks by Odveta. But Odveta is very comfortable sitting on 3 bases. He's got it not quite saturated, but quite a bit more than John, whose 3rd isn't even done yet. And he sends out an observer to scout because he hasn't been in his main base for a while. Can, I suppose, guess that it is indeed a lair. And how many queens is that now? 8 queens. Possibly suspecting additional units out of that Stargate, but there isn't. Finally starting it up a bit with the creep spread. Yeah. Alright, there's that oracle again. See what it can get done. Well, it's got some scouting. Let's see what he does. Yep, scouts everything relevant before flying into Spore Crawler and dying. Alright, first attack upgrade on the way for the Protoss, and the Zerg has 2 evolution chambers ready, but is not using them. In the meantime, more void rays are being produced. For John, it's a very, very low army count on the side of this. I mean, Odveta, if he so chooses, he could really just go there and make something happen. But he really hasn't. Got a few stasis forts ready. Building his wall off for the 3rd. And Odveta is just, I don't know, built a lot of overlords, so that might mean he's going to increase his army size quite a bit. Roaches or Hydralisks even, still not getting that 1-1. Considering his money, well, it's not his money that's a problem, it's his gas. And he could be managing that better, having only 1 in gas in his main. Does have the other 5 extractors. In the meantime, John has a bit of a more balanced mineral slash gas income, and now slowly building up that army. Big round of roaches there for Odveta. What happened here? Ooh, Marsh needs to learn how to observe. 2 workers killed. 4 or 5 even in this case zealots. It's probably not worth it. And now he does the same thing here, gets quite a bit of damage on the hatchery before it's even done, picks up and goes back into the main, and Odveta is not reacting to it. He's not dropping it away. See, this is where a bit of extra creep spread is handy. If you take your creep tumor and just move it here, actually open with a creep tumor here, get this thing done right away, just in case there's any, I don't know, medevac or, ooh, this is going to be lovely, very nice stasis trap. If there's going to be a warp prism, if there's going to be a medevac, if there's going to be overlord drops in that area, you just want to see it, and it takes your first your virtual creep tumor to see that. Oh, there goes that storm. And that tells Odveta exactly what he's up against. Knows now that he needs to stick on roaches and that going for melee is not going to get him anywhere. Finally starts those upgrades. It's the combination of... Well, there are those zealots again. Does get the hatchery this time. And the warprism gets away scot-free. Is that a warprism speed? But isn't. That's the normal speed. Okay. And with that, we're at 3 bases, but Odveta is maxed out, whereas John is very much not. John has perfect vision of what's about to happen. And oh, look at that storm. That storm absolutely in the middle of the Zerg army. Absolutely decimating it with the Archons and the Immortals and the Blinks to clean up after the storm does its damage. And very, very nice. Even managing to make a few extra Archons from the High Templars that have used their storms. Odveta does manage to get quite a bit of army supply up instantly in preparation for this attack though. And John moves in from the side, kills a queen, and takes command of a choke position. Nope, does not push in, just removes the creep tumors. Make sure his opponent doesn't see him coming if he ever decides to do that again. And the warp prism in place to warp in reinforcements. Let's see how many. There's no actual High Templars here. Not having superstat and a recall, leaving out a fair bit of his army for fodder to the Zerg. Did he? No, we don't have any High Templar. That would be very nice in dealing with this this counter attack damage. There's this. Ooh. Oh, that is not what you hope for when you have a stasis trap. Taking one Zergling, leaving the rest of the army to just demolish your base or engage your army. What is it going to be? Yes, engage the army. Corrosive ball going up and landing in the middle of the army, but there should be enough left there for the Protoss, or so he thought. Aggressive blink forward just as the Zerglings come in and murder a couple of them. He does clean it up with charge zealots in order to take out the last Hydralisk, but that was quite a costly engagement for both. And Odveta still has the army advantage. Doesn't have the worker advantage, but does have his 4th base up again, which should be a problem. As you can see that this is oversaturated. This isn't really doing much of anything, whereas the Zerg, well, he's looking quite a bit better on what his workers are actually doing. There's a lot of Zerglings, Zealots coming in there, and a lot of Hydralisks to... Oh, there's a very nice engagement by Odveta coming in from the side. Now he is going to lose a base by these Zealots who actually Shrek stuff, but this is going to get cleaned up. The Zerglings going to surround this, keep them in place, or just nibble at them from the back, one of the two, I don't know. And with that, the Zerg is on 92 army supply, whereas the Protoss is on 38, and Odveta should be able to move in here and absolutely kill John. Sending his Zerglings one way and his Hydras, and just his Hydras. This is very risky. If John remade High Templars, which he did, then this army gets murdered by Psystorm. Well, that was one High Templar. There's the other one. Is he going to do anything? Yes, he gets off one storm before dying. That is not going to be enough. Look at the damage output by these Hydras, absolutely melting the Protoss army. And this is all that's left. 2 army supply to 74. Checking again that this place isn't taken. Could move into the 3rd, but instead choosing to just kill this in its entirety. Of course, doesn't know that his opponent is in fact completely without army. Although there is now Churchill of Zealot, I suppose. But with the roaches in the front and the hydras in the back, all of these guys die again. Feedback in order to take out the overseer. Moves down its probes, and GG.